Good morning and welcome to my final project. This is CS50 Introduction to Database with SQL. So, for the final project, I created a budget tracker database primarily using SQLite. I'm just going to briefly explain who I am using this presentation. So, this is the budget tracker database created by myself, Sahan Mia. This is my GitHub repository, my EDX ID, Sahan Mia 1, and today's date. May 30th, 2025. I'm located in London, but yeah, so here we go. The project overview was to create a personal management system using SQLite where we could track the expenses, income, budget, goals, and subscriptions. So this is like most like contracts like Netflix subscriptions, Disney Plus subscriptions. Developed for the SQL CS50 course. I'm emphasizing using rational databases, joins, filtering, and aggregations. Primarily will be using the workflow on how this database would work. I will briefly explain the EDR diagram. So ideally, I kept this as simple as possible. With one user, will have many contracts, many payment methods, and this is all explained on how it's done. So one-to-many relationship with contracts, one-to-many payment methods, and this could be debit card, direct credit cards, or anything like that. If you can see the screen on me, and I'll briefly explain on how it works, and then every this and then recurring transaction, a user can have many recurring transactions. Unfortunately, this is not the best example of it, but I'll briefly explain how this EDI diagram is used inside the database. The category section is primarily on what categories it will be. So this could be expenses, uh, and I will show how the schema, or it could be income. And then income could be from some of your day job, or it could be from your side hustles, like a side job that you have from this contract. All of these tables are integrated together and relation with using foreign keys and references to user ID. Uh, I'll briefly explain in the next section on how the database works, but yes, thank you. So just on the side note, this is a diagram of the presentation I will be presenting in my README or design.md. As you can see, this will be a little bit more of a detail. Like I'll explain on how the relationship between one to many or many to one relationship works and how it's interlinked together. This was created with mermaids.js. But yeah, I hope you like, and I'll move into the next section now. Hello, and this is the next section on how to load or read the database. So on my repository and the GitHub, you can actually clone it, and using any form of terminal, or if you have it all preset it up, you could just do git clone, uh, and that will load. That will add it onto the repository. So first thing first, I'm just gonna go and load where I put my one on my build file. Okay, so you can see all of my files have been actually loaded on, and it's been preloaded onto this system. So the first thing we're going to do is how to read the database. So it's as simple. We can just do .sqlite free budget.db, and now we got it here. So terminal is incredibly small, unfortunately. So I'm just going to give that a little bit more of a step up. So first thing we're going to do is just to check .schema. Unfortunately, there's no schema loaded at the moment. So if you are loading this for the first time and you do .schema, there's nothing loaded at the moment. We actually have to read the .schema.file. So .read schema.sql, and then let's just redo it again. So this will create all the tables that's populated on the system. So this will be the user. I kept the user incredibly simple. The data type that I've been using is ID, integer, and text, primarily for most of my data or data type that I've been using. The one that you'll see is the category, which where you could check what is the income and what is the expenses. These are type sensitive, so if you are going to be using it, make sure you type it in lowercase. What is the income, what is the expenses, and how it's been readed. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit more how this database work. I actually do have a seeding data, and the seeding data is pre-populated data that have been used based on fake data. Well, similar to what I am as a financial person. So instead of like yourself inserting all the data yourself, you can actually use the pre-populated data using the .read function. So you can do .read c.sql, and as you can see there's no error loaded up, and then we could just do just to check if the data is available users. So we do have this available for me, so I actually have it timestamped just because I just wanted a little bit neater, and then just say like, oh, we created this data at this time, uh, on this day. um Unfortunately, some of the database that you'll see is quite small, and it's not really noticeable that you can do. I do have it on my queries that you can dot mode box, and this will, if we redo the select user, we can just get a little bit of a detailed explanation of what's going on. Just to check if all of the data from the seed file has been loaded, I've actually pre-added this in the queries.sql, so you can copy and paste this onto the terminal, and this will actually load up all of the user's information in box mode. Okay, so now that we understand that the data has been added, we're just going to drop the database as it is. So I actually have a drop functionality. I think it's in the cd data. Yes. So I do have it loaded onto the .seed file as comments. So we're going to just drop all the information again. Also, you can actually see that this drop table has existed on the database. So this is just a brief explanation on a step-by-step guide on how to read the C data, and we're just going to drop all the database. So we're going to just do select star from users. Oh, so semicolon. Okay, no table existed. We can also check if all of the table has been existed. So we can actually go on to the queries and then just copy the select star from all again. And again, no tables existed. So this is just a way to load the seeding data and how to use the seeding data. In the next section, I'll explain on how we can use the queries to generate information from it and how we can insert information from it. Stay in tune for the next section. Thank you. Hello. Okay, in this section, I'm just going to briefly explain on how the database works and how to load in particular queries and insert data inside of the database. The data is made up of several tables, as explained previously, but I'll go through it again. The first thing I'm going to be doing is just in the terminal, just go loading up the database. We will be starting this from a fresh database, so I'm just checking if there's no such users. But I'm also just going to delete the data in the database. I'm actually using part of the README, which has an explanation on how to how to insert data in the database. But on the safe side, let's just double check if all the information has been deleted. So I'm copying the select star from all the users, and that's all been fine. And just on the safe side, just drop all the database just because I want to be sure. Okay, so now let's start from a blank screen. I know it's very hard to see my terminal, so I am gonna make this up as high as possible. And then what we're going to do is just load up the database. I am going through my step-by-step instruction on how to load the data, how to access the database. So let's just do this now. So just do SQLite 3 again, budget.db, so db. And then after that, we'll just explain what we're going to do. We're going to, because we dropped the database, we're just going to load the schema. So .read schema .sql, and we're just going to just check .schema. Okay, so all the table has been inserted. We've also got some indexes as well. But the first one and the most crucial one is that we will need to insert the user database. So what we have is a pre-installed insert user. You don't have to use this, by the way. You can put your own name if you wish to. So let's just do insert into users. We'll put it under name, and then we'll put the values as Mia. Okay. Okay, and there's no error that pops up. We can just do select star from users, and that will load up my details in the details. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do we're going to just double check the schema that we have preloaded, and we want to do is check the category section. So some of the tables that we want to do, and then just make sure that you include the name, the type, the description. And with the name type or the type, just make sure it's either it's income or expenses, as we will need to make sure that these data has been read out properly. So category. So we're going to just insert the category section instead of like rewriting. I'm just going to copy and paste it. So this will take the name, the type, and the values, and that will add the categories of what this is. So this will be an expenses and be under groceries. So let's just paste that in and then press enter. What we're going to do is we're just going to add it again, but we're going to do income as the expenses. So you can apologize. I'm not right now. So we'll just do insert into categories and then put name, type, and description. Okay, and then I'm just going to press enter to insert to the new line, and then do values, and then let's just put this as full-time. Let's just say job, and then job, and then we'll do it's an income, and the then this will be monthly income. The reason why I separated this is because it's just to give it like predefined values on like how much you want to be setting aside, what's the transaction, and how you want to budget yourself on top of it. So I'll explain that briefly in the next part. Okay. We've done it right. It's description, values, job, income. Yeah, okay. Interesting. So we're just going to do SQLite. We select star from categories. Okay, so it didn't add the second section, so not sure why. So let's just add that and then change certain sections of it. So categories, so job, income, monthly salary. Okay, let's just see if that would work now. Okay, now we finally got it. Sorry about that. Okay, now that we've got the category section, we're just going to do transactions, and then we're going to just do this will be based on the category amount. So we actually have it linked up to with IDs. So we can actually just paste this up again and then put that in that paste mode. So it's a very tedious program where you have to insert the data of your income and then add the data, and then it's all interlinked by like foreign keys and reference keys. I have a pre-selected data of like SQL data that you can use and load up, and this is partly why I have a seeding data for it. So we could just .read .schema SQL. Oh, sorry, not queries. Let's do queries. There we go. And it can go generate it through bit by bit on how much you can do. Unfortunately, you will need to populate a lot of the data to make sure that it's ready for use. And this is include payment method and then transactions overall, how much your monthly salary is going to be. And this is something that you'll have to go through step by step for it. I have detailed an explanation on the README, but hopefully this will be a little bit more detail on how you want to be using the database. And then once you have the database, it will go through each interactions, joining the tables together when it's required, and then finding out what transaction through a queries. I hope that helps. And yeah, and this is my final project for CS50 SQL. Hope you enjoy using my database. Unfortunately, there are some limitations with just using a database as SQL. The interface isn't ideal, unfortunately, because it's all in queries, and it's not something that I would personally use in a full-on development database structure. Would be moving this on to a front end development, such as React or Vue.js, and then moving the database into probably a Postgres to, and then having a form of like user authentication and as well as protections, just so that your data is protected and some form of like, and to stop from attacks. I really enjoyed this day creating this final project, partly because it has gave me an insight on how I could better manage my finances, especially in the cost of living crisis, as well as making sure that what I'm spending on how I'm spending can be inserted in a database format so that I can read the data and present it in a way that is readable. Normally, I'd be using an Excel spreadsheet, but this was more of a like automated idea of how to create a database using my data. And then hopefully in my future iteration, I'll be progressing this into a full on project. I hope that helps. But yeah, thank you for CS50. Bye.